Hi, welcome to week one. So I'm going to go over our objectives and the discussion forums for this week so that you are clear on how to proceed with your discussion forums based on the readings. So after completing all of the activities of this week, including the readings, you should be able to be talking about and familiar with the function of social service organizations, their structures, their processes, their legal environments, and most importantly, being able to analyze the relationship between policy, programs, and organizational functions. So there are a number of readings that are listed in week one, 4 to be exact, including in addition to a website that you can explore. So please do look at that when you go to the week one section. I suggest reading all of the readings first before you jump into a post, because it's very likely that you will find material to quote or cite in your response posts or your initial posts. So the first discussion forum is in regards to a case study on a woman named Anita and her family. So please read that case study, and then you are going to be identifying what services you think should be available to Anita and her family. And then secondly, from what you know about social work practice and your existing experience, what kinds of barriers or issues exist that might limit and prevent Anita and her family from actually receiving those services that you are saying that she needs. So, for example, this should be at least a couple paragraphs of you thinking through the issues. When you get into her case, you'll see the myriad of barriers that exist for Anita and her family. Think about her finances, the neighborhood and the environment that she lives in, the schools in the area, the government assistance that she may or may not be receiving. Again, her environment and violence or mental health services, housing, counseling, education, high school diploma, associate's degree, having money to support her family, taking care of her children, healthcare, medical assistance. The list goes on and on about the kinds of support and services that any number of people, including ourselves, need from government and from organizations. Also think about the macro level. So what happens when a government may cut certain programs and services at the local, state, or federal level, or when organizations are providing donations and volunteers to accomplish certain tasks and then that's no longer there, or how a family may or may not rely on those kinds of services in the organization. Religious organizations, volunteer organizations. So really think about holistically all of those things, including more. I'm sure there's a number that I did not even mention. And you're addressing Anita as well as her family for that one. So that is your initial post. Then you have a response post. So for your response post, and throughout this course, you're going to be partnered up with a dyad or a triad. And so I want you to respond to at least one person or your partner, identifying the similarities and the differences between your posts. So perhaps you both acknowledged that medical care was a big issue, but then your partner acknowledged something else in Anita's environment that you didn't think about, or maybe you thought it was less important than some of the other things. And so I want you to compare and contrast and really think through what those priorities are between you and your partner and why. If you have questions about that, please do email me. For the second discussion forum, there's 2 this week, you're going to be getting to know an organization. So it is not required that you use a existing placement or a place of work, but the stronger relationship that you have with an organization throughout this course, the easier it's going to be to focus on that one, so just keep that in mind. But you could choose an organization that you are currently placed at, that you currently work at or volunteer at, or an organization that you hope to be at in the future. So you're going to be writing a couple paragraphs in your initial post. The first is a paragraph describing the organization, how it's organized, constructed, how many people it serves, what the organization does, its vision, its mission. It should be a human services or social work organization or an employer that hires social workers. And there are some more description in the actual discussion forum, so please read that carefully. So your first paragraph is a description of the organization. The second paragraph is what your role is, or your desired role, if it's an organization that you're not familiar with, within that organization. So that's the 2 paragraphs for your second discussion forum. Now for your response post. Like I said, you're going to have a partner. So using your partner's organization, what they have described in their initial post, I want you to conduct a media and a social media investigation of the organization. So identify what is their online presence and the reputation of the organization from what you can see online. So I suggest, going online, looking at their website, looking at maybe they have blog posts, maybe they have articles and articles written about the organization. So I suggest creating a folder on your computer to document all of the evidence that you find. When you go to the website, since you can't necessarily save that, you can favorite the link. But if you want me to see the screen, just take a screenshot of that screen. Maybe you find videos on YouTube about the organization or some of the work that they do. PDF documents like their organizational strategic plans or annual reports. Web links, like I said. So I want you to offer physical evidence of this social media documentation, which means that I literally want you to attach certain files to your response post, things that I can see that shows me pieces of the organization. And then you should also, so some of the unofficial evidence might be news stories or social media mentions of the organization on Twitter. Again, if it's difficult to upload, take a screenshot and you can use that as your upload. So I want you to post 2 to 3 paragraphs summarizing what you found online, and then include the organization's name in the subject of your response, and address the following prompts. So there's a few of them. What kinds of evidence of an online presence did you find? What type of organization or agency is this, and how would you describe its characteristics? For example, is it inviting? Is the organization seem compassionate? Do they seem fragmented and disorganized based on their online presence? Would its administrators be pleased or displeased with the online presence and reputation that you're finding on this organization? Why or why not? Does this seem like the kind of organization that you would want to send someone to visit? Would you want to visit yourself? Why or why not? And lastly, given what the organization or agency does, do you think its online presence is a good fit? Why or why not? And then upload at least 3 pieces of evidence, so actual attachments, to the discussion forum, to your response, so that I can click on them and actually get a sense of what that organization looks like and what its online presence looks like. For all discussion posts, your initial posts are due by Thursday. Your response posts are due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. That is all I'll say about the discussion posts and the content. But I also just want to remind you that throughout this course, as you have probably already read in the syllabus, you're going to be working with partners. Sometimes that can be frustrating. Sometimes it can be a great benefit and partnership that you end up creating with your peers. What's really important in this course is that you take your time and give feedback to your partner on their writing and their posts. Working within an organization and having peer feedback is so important when you are out and working in the field. And so this class is an opportunity for you to really practice that. Even though you may see a post and it is thorough and it is long and it maybe hits all of the points that you did and didn't think of, there's always room for improvement. And so if you have a partner that is very thorough, I still want you to think about how can you challenge them to think with a different perspective or a different angle that maybe they didn't think about before. And that feedback is that exercise of giving feedback is great for you, and it's also great for your partner to get some relevant feedback for their work. As we are writing our final grant proposal, you will have an opportunity in those instances to also give feedback to your peer or to your partner in the course. And again, I just want to reiterate how important it is that you are thoughtful about that and that you take your time to really think about the strong points of their arguments as well as the weak points, and to really thoughtfully share that with them. Obviously not to be rude or to just give criticism for the sake of giving criticism, but to really strengthen their work and their argument. So I think that is about it. Please go through all of the readings. It really gives you a strong sense of the context of organizations, their functions, their legal environments, the types of structures that organizations are created upon, and then how the function, the policies, and the resources within that organization really work together and sometimes conflict with one another, and create barriers to receiving those services. So I think that's it for week 1. Go through. I will have a separate video for the assignments that are coming up. Thanks.